It's Cardboard Time, episode 137, and I'm your host, Arwen Kathke. On today's episode, I have a review of Shards of Creation, a cardboard callback to Sonora, and a preview of what I'm excited to see at Origins Game Fair. Now, there has been a lot of activity lately. You've probably seen me in your feeds a little bit more than normal. If you haven't seen the latest Board Game Geek podcast, I did get to chat with my friend Amanda Panda about all sorts of great things. You'll definitely want to go check that out. On that episode, we kind of talk about our favorite board games that have food as a theme, as well as color vision in the hobby, and some other fun surprises too that I won't let you in on. You're going to have to go listen to it for yourself to find out. In other news, I will be at the Omaha Gaming Convention in Omaha, Nebraska, July 10th through 12th. So if you're more towards the middle of the country, haven't had the opportunity to come see me, you'll want to see if you can fit that into your schedule. It is a very inclusive convention that's being put on by my good friends OFP, and I know it's going to be an amazing time. I can't wait to see everybody out there. It's my first time in Omaha, Nebraska, so that'll be a fun trip. Get to see a brand new part of the country that I haven't been able to check out. So that's always a good thing. So let's get into that shelf of aspiration. It is at 127. That is up by 2. I did get a kind of a care package from Smirk and Dagger Games. These were 3 review copies. The first one being Boop Shuffle, the second being Blorp, and the third being Devious. And out of the 3, I think I'm kind of trending a little bit more towards Devious being the first one that I want to check out of those. I did enjoy Boop. It's going to be a hard sell for my wife because she's not a huge fan of Boop. In fact, she really doesn't like it. But Devious seems right up her alley. And Boop Shuffle, I'll get out with somebody. And the same with Blorp, it looks like it is a lighter game and should be able to accommodate quite a few people at the table. I did get one game to the table that was on my shelf of aspiration, and that was Shards of Creation. So why don't we go ahead and talk about it? Shards of Creation is a game released in 2026. This is 2 to 4 players, plays in 30 minutes, designed by Hayden Dillard. The artist is Medusa Dollmaker. This is published by Brotherwise Games. In Shards of Creation, harness the primal forces of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. This innovative trick-taking game is designed for players of all skill levels. Each shard is an aspect of divinity: autonomy, cultivation, devotion, dominion, honor, odium, preservation, and ruin. Each is an entirely unique suit with different values and abilities. Will you win by focusing on one shard's influence or by forging a coalition of shards? Shuffle up a different combination every time you play, making every game a new experience. First of all, thank you to Brotherwise Games for the review copy of this. We both, my wife and I, were very attracted to the art on this. And when Brotherwise reached out about a review copy, I was definitely more than excited to take a look at the gameplay. I love trick-taking games, and this seemed right up my alley. This is another game in the Cosmere universe, much like the Mistborn deck-building game, which I really enjoyed, despite not really knowing the source material at all. So if you're looking for someone's opinion who has read the books, unfortunately, my review will not be the right review for you, but I can give you an idea from somebody that's coming in from the outside, just from a gameplay perspective, what I thought of it. And as the description said, each shard is a suit that you'll be shuffling into the deck to play with. Scoring in this game is not only based on the depth of cards in the suits that you have, but also the breadth, with some pretty big points coming from having a number of complete sets of suits. Each of the suit abilities does feel different. They all have their own kind of character to them, with some focused on building up your own tableau to boost card abilities. Some are focused on using other cards in your opponent's tableaus that they've built up. Some help you steal cards from your opponent's hand. Some help you curate your remaining deck. and some will even provide endgame scoring implications as well. The Trump Suit card also has a condition on it that's going to change up the flavor of the round and can also drastically change up how you approach the round. And those Trump Suits are made up of the different shards that you're going to throw into the deck, and that suit card is going to correspond to one of those. When playing with different combinations between the Trump suit and suit abilities, for me, games have really taken on a different flavor so far, which I've liked. There's a nice interaction between the different abilities and kind of how you approach the game and think about what could be in the deck. I think that was very interesting to me. And really, in addition to all of these different things, when you score a trick, you get to pick which card goes into your tableau, which means that this is pretty much permanently out of the deck. There are card effects that you can get some cards back into the deck, but this does mean that you're able to see the balance of cards in your opponent's hands and what they might be, especially in later rounds, which was probably my favorite part of this game. You already know, hey, this is in somebody's scoring area. I know that this isn't going to come up in their hand. And I thought that was really cool to be able to play with that and look and see when I'm making plans, how am I going to make those plans? I planned poorly, but it was nice to be able to have that as an option if you were to play it properly. The art in this game, as I stated, is absolutely gorgeous. We 1000% love it, and it was very attractive as we were playing it out on the board. People were commenting like, hey, this is really gorgeous and beautiful. So if you're a fan of this art style, it's really going to be something that you want to maybe pick up. This game was very easy to teach. To those who have played Trick Takers before, especially Must Follow, I would put a bit more emphasis, if you are teaching this, on making sure that people understand the scoring tableau implications, which was pretty unique from what most of my gaming groups have played, and that's where a few people kind of got hung up a little bit. But once you get through that, people really grab this and understand it, and it's not too difficult to get to the table. This played very well at 2, with a bit more chaos at 4. Personally, I preferred it at 2. It felt a little bit more strategic and a little less chaotic, so I felt like I had a little bit more control at 2. But either way, I really enjoyed it on both ends. I think playing it at 3 is fine as well, so it's just a matter of what your play group consists of. From a vision and accessibility standpoint, each of the suits is denoted by a unique character, which did work very well enough for me to not have any sort of issues with. Everything was marked up well enough, and I did not have a problem whatsoever. From my final thoughts on this game, from a game that really wasn't on my radar earlier this year, I had no idea that this was coming out, to being something that I've come back to multiple times at this point and wanted to play, and thought about how I could better play, how I could better utilize some of these suit abilities. Shards of Creation really has been a delight to play. Between the suit abilities, the different combinations that you can play with, it really does stick out in my mind, and it's something that I will be taking with me to Origins so that I can get some more feedback from different people. I really enjoyed this. I think that there's going to be a lot of people that I want to introduce this to, and they will enjoy it as well, some of my trick-taking friends. If you are interested in picking this up, this will be hitting store shelves June 24th. And like I said, this will be coming with me to Origins, so if you are coming to Origins, hit me up. We can get a game of this in. And this will also definitely be staying on my shelves. That is Shards of Creation. Let's do a cardboard callback. It's been a little bit since we did one of these, and on today's cardboard callback segment, we have Sonora from 2020. This is from 1 to 4 players, plays in 30 to 45 minutes, designed by Rob Newton. The art is by Tom Goyen and Michael Parla, and this was published by Hobby World. You have entered the Sonoran Desert, a place of vast beauty. Technicolor sunsets pop over vistas, revealing deep canyons, trickling tributaries, and ancient Pueblo cliff dwellings. Immerse yourselves in the secrets of the desert in a flick and right game in which cunning and dexterity meet. In Sonora, players flick wooden discs onto a game board representative of different vibrant landscapes across the Sonoran sands. Each area encompasses a different unique game, so skillful aim is required to play in a region of a player's choosing and scoring points on your dry erase sheet. But watch out for other players eager to bump discs to score points for themselves. So I did pick this up based on the premise that I do really enjoy Crokinole, and when I thought of the kind of concept of combining Crokinole and Roll and Write, for what it was worth, it just felt like it was pretty cool to me. I did get this out solo. I did not like it. I bounced off of it. I felt like there was a little bit too much going on. The idea of flicking your opponent's discs and that just, it did not click for me on this one. I did have this on my one and done shelf ever since. And that concept is basically I play a game once, I see if I want to keep it, I either move on or I have to put it on my permanent shelves. So I have to make that decision. It can't be like, maybe I'll play it one more time. I have to make a choice. So I needed to give it a fair shake multiplayer, and so I decided that this was the time, because I knew that this was also designed by Rob Newton, who is half of the design team behind Chicken Fried Dice. So I wanted to make sure that I checked that out because I love Chicken Fried Dice, and I felt like maybe giving this another shot would be a good idea. I thought that the box art style was pretty neat. The board was a little bit more muted from the box cover, but overall, the art style did work well. I felt like it was fairly unique, and I haven't really seen that anywhere else. From a gameplay perspective, most of the standard verb and write elements occur on your play sheet, so from using a value to march down a path to crossing off boxes in a group to score points. I think most players are going to be pretty familiar with these elements if they have played multiple verb and writes at this point. It's not anything that you haven't seen before, basically. Where this game is unique is the fact that the 4 zones that you're playing in are going to be selected by where your discs land in this Crokinole style flicking game, with each of the 4 quadrants on the board corresponding to a different area on your player sheet that you can use the value of your discs in. And if you get it in the center hole, you can use it for whatever area you want. There are also some small areas on the board which double the value of your disc, but they are pretty high risk considering that they tend to be in a different area of the board. So you might have one for the top left corner of your board sitting in the zone of the bottom right. And that means getting knocked out of them, if you do hit them, really could mess up your strategy if that's not where you want to go. There is a understated amount of strategy in how the flicking happens, and this is where in a 4-player game, I got to see this happen a lot more. So each of the players has 5 discs that are labeled 1 through 5. You have to choose which ones you want to flick when. Basically, if you're playing a 4-player game, I would take 2 turns, my neighbor would take 2 turns, their neighbor would take 2 turns, their neighbor would take 2 turns. Then it would come back to me to flick another 2 discs, go around again, and then I would flick my final one. So I'd be flicking all 5 of my discs, but how I choose that order in how I want to flick them is up to me. Basically, as these players are going to be taking turns shooting the discs onto the board, that means that you're not only going to have discs on the board when your turn comes around, but so will your opponents. meaning there's a ton of different opportunity to knock discs around in areas where you do and don't want to have them land. You can have your opponents maybe on a bonus area, and you use them to knock your discs into and basically use that as a stopping point. And it really makes for some really unique strategy choices when figuring out where to put your discs. And not only where, but when. And I think that this is really the heart of the game. It made it so much more interesting when playing with others as opposed to solo mode. I guess you could kind of set yourself up with those opponent discs, but I think having live players at the table and playing this is really where it's at. Teaching of this game is going to be relatively easy for those groups who know verb and write games well. It may be a bit tricky for those who don't, because not only do you have to teach the verb and write elements at that point, but you also have to teach the main board like you do with everybody. Emphasis on each of the 4 zones, what discs combine in value and which have to be used individually, is also very important in teaching this. It can be tricky for players to grasp that at first, so if you are going to teach this, I would recommend making sure that you really emphasize some of those zones, you combine those discs, and some you use the individual value. From a vision and accessibility standpoint, I did have some issues with discerning some of the board components, specifically the white on yellow iconography that was on the board, along with 2 of the regions that looked very similar to me in their art style. Fortunately, the board does have iconography on it, so they do have different animal profile pictures in the center, and those correspond to each of the areas. Once I figured that out, I was able to get through this pretty well. From my final thoughts, I really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would, considering how I felt about the solo. I wound up being really happy with how this game played. Once you get more players around the table, if you enjoy verb and rights, this is a really solid option. A lot of great interactivity on the board between players, and really a depth of strategy that is also very unexpected. If you see this one secondhand for a good price, I would really recommend checking this out. I believe it may currently be out of print, but this one and done has the honor of staying on my shelves, and it's earned its place there. That is Sonora. So let's talk about Origins Game Fair. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. About a week from now, I will be getting ready to head down to Columbus, Ohio, and check out Origins. I wanted to talk about first the games I'm going to be looking forward to the most. So I will give you kind of my top 5 games I'm really looking forward to, or the things that I think that you should check out if you are going to be there. Now, the first one is Garden Club. This is by Chris Couch Games, designed by Kristen Mott and Andrew Stiles. And in this game, players are going to compete to grow the most vibrant and well-balanced garden in their neighborhood. This has tile placement in it with connecting matching icons, forming combos, fulfilling objectives, and then selecting another tile as a point multiplier. Now, everyone that I've talked to that has looked at this has raved about it. I've liked Andrew's games in the past, so I am very much looking forward to checking this one out. I already have it. I think it was crowdfunded, and I did get in on that crowdfunding, so I'm interested to try to play a demo of this and sit down with it. Garden Club is really my first one that I'm looking at. The second one is Green Team Wins. This is by 25th Century Games, designed by Nathan Thornton, and I love Green Team Wins. It is one of my favorite party games of all time. And this is basically just more Green Team Wins. More player components mean bigger games are possible, which makes me happy because I'm able to share this with a bigger group. Green Team gets out to our table very often. This is a must-have for us, so I'm excited to get more Green Team Wins. My third game that I wanted to talk about is Roz, and this is by Arcane Wonders, designed by Mahir Shah and Shailene. And we've already crowdfunded this one, but we are very excited to try it out if we can do a demo of it. This is a dice drafting tableau building game with a board of discs being connected by gears. Each one of the dice on discs basically represents the dancers that are moving in harmony with each other, which means that you have to plan out moves in advance with how the dice are going to move in relationship to each other. It seems like a lot of care was made in making sure that the mechanics fit very well with the dance style that this originates from. I feel like when I sit down with this and get to see it in person, it's really going to click for me. And that kind of harmony of all the discs rotating in conjunction with each other is going to click and really provide a cool experience. I've heard some really good things by people who have been able to check this one out. So I'm excited to see that. And also a theme that doesn't get really talked about much, and something that seems like it was given a lot of respect and care in its implementation. My fourth game that I want to talk about is Space Potato. This is an Envy-born game production designed by Ammon Anderson. This is a small box worker placement game where you play as stranded astronauts making repairs to their shared ship, but also trying to make sure that they get the resources for their companies that they work for as well. And it sounds like if players don't cooperate, that everyone has a chance to lose. It's right up my alley. I love games that do this, and I think that this is going to be one that I really click with. I love Gnome Hollow from Ammon Anderson, so I don't think that this one's going to be a bad one for me. I think that this is really going to be pretty cool. And then the fifth one, which I've actually gotten the opportunity to check out already, but I want to see the updated version of it, is Garden Dragons by BA Games. This was designed by Sam Stockton and David Stockton. I played this at Grand Con, and I am looking forward to seeing a more refined version coming up. In this game, you're going to play domino tiles to grow your gardens, and it's a shared garden, which the sections of the garden you're going to be able to claim as your own. Once you're happy with how it's progressed, you can put your little helper tile down. When you play a domino tile, you take the dragons that you cover up, you keep one to raise for yourself, and that's going to get you points at the end of the game. And there's also one that's going to go into the community nursery that you don't pick. The more dragons of a color that are in the nursery, the lower the score for having those dragons becomes, which I think is a pretty interesting mechanic. I'd encourage folks to check this one out. I had a lot of fun with it when I played it at Grand Con, and that was in its prototype form. So I'm really interested to see what they've done with it since. So those were my 5 games that I'm looking forward to most. Let me know what you're looking forward to most. If you're going to Origins, I'd be interested to see what else I have to check out. I do have kind of a short list of games that I do want to look at, but I just wanted to share my top 5 with y'all. I'm also looking forward to getting some very good food down there. Columbus is a foodie paradise, and I already have a couple of lunch and dinner dates already planned out. And I'm looking forward to seeing some friends down there that I haven't seen in a while, or some that I saw a couple months ago at Gamma. And then finally, I'm looking forward to playing games. I did not load myself up with a lot of meetings. I'm hoping that I'm able to focus on playing more and getting to see a little bit more at the table, play some longer games. Not only ones that are coming out, but ones that I've been wanting to get out, or ones that maybe I missed. I would love to hit some of those older games up, because I think that I've been enjoying those as well, and I've been making an effort to try to get back to some of the games of yesteryear, even if we call 2020 yesteryear at this point. So if you're around at Origins, if you're going to be there, as always, please say hi. Let me know that you're going to be there. I'm looking forward to seeing whoever's going. And yeah, just a great time. I love going to Origins. It's my hometown convention, I call it, even though it's a 2-hour drive away for us. It's just always so much fun. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. So I think that's going to do it for us today. If you want to know more about Cardboard Time, you can go to that website at cardboardtime.com. Our Instagram is at cardboard_time. The Blue Sky is at cardboard time. The Discord is on the Tabletop Express server, and you can email me at cardboardtime@gmail.com for an invite, or you can go to that website that I mentioned. It is a lovely community. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or ideas for discussion topics, you can always email cardboardtime@gmail.com. And one question that I did have for the group and for the audience in general was my top 5 topics that I was working with Amanda on the BGG podcast on trying to figure out what we were going to talk about. And some of the suggestions I got were fantastic. I think I'm going to incorporate those into future episodes where I don't have a guest and talking about maybe some top 5 two-player games, things like that. Some topics I haven't touched in a while, and I'd be interested to see how my opinions changed on those. So look forward to those coming up. For the LGBTQ plus community, happy Pride Month. Things are tough, but the world is better with you in it. As always, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you around the table in 2 weeks for another episode of Cardboard Time.